Joining me now, Kamran Bokhari. He's the director of the Center for Global Policy and a non-resident scholar at Arabia Foundation. Thank you for coming on the show. The administration appears to be trying to de-escalate the situation with Iran, but what did they accomplish by escalating it in the first place?
I think that the Trump administration is trying to renegotiate the nuclear deal. It's something that the administration has walked away from. It's nixed the JCPOA that was signed by the Obama administration. So now the question for the Trump administration is, how do you get Iran back to the negotiating table? And you need leverage for that. Hence the policy of maximum pressure. And then, of course, that can't be completely controlled because the Iranian response isn't something that is, let's go to the negotiating table. They will resist. And so we're in the middle of that, and there are, lots of room for miscalculations and unintended tensions and perhaps even conflict. So that's, I think, where we are right now in this game.
Yeah, and you talk about the strategy being maximum pressure to force them to the table, but I speak to Middle East watchers and they say that Iran won't respond to a gun pointed to their head. So if that's not going to work, then what will get them to the table?
I think that, this is an unfolding dynamic. What's really happening here is that neither side wants conflict. Both sides want a negotiated settlement, but on their own terms. And it's natural. In any conflict, both sides want to negotiate from a position of relative strength. And so what we have here is a situation where Iran just can't throw in the towel right now and look weak and loses leverage in any negotiation that it may enter at a future point. So the timing has to be right for both sides to come in. It must be a win-win where the Trump administration can say, okay, we are now, as promised, negotiating a better deal. The Iranians need to be able to say, well, look, we went into these negotiations not because a gun was put to our head, but because it was in our strategic interest to do so. And they have something to show their population that, look, we entered negotiations and we got X, Y, Z.
But, okay, you say both sides don't want conflict. Of course, there's the fear of miscalculation, but essentially both sides don't want conflict. But what does Iran want at the end of this? What do they really want from the United States?
I think that they ideally want to go back to status quo ante, which was, prior to President Trump nixing the nuclear deal, which is that there was a deal in place. There was sanctions respite and relief, and they ideally want to be able to go back to that. But they're shrewd enough to realize that that is unlikely to happen. I think that their partners in their friends in Moscow and Beijing are telling them that much, that it doesn't look like you're going to be able to get back to where you want to be. So you got to come up with plan B. I think they're hearing the same from the Europeans, that yes, we want to be able to maintain the deal, but we simply don't have enough leverage to do that because Washington has walked away from it. So the Iranians right now want to be able to say, okay, let's negotiate, but we need something better. We need sanctions respite. We want to be able to continue to improve the economy. Our economy is in a very bad situation. So whatever deal that they could potentially strike with the Trump administration has to be something that the Iranians can show as a win, and they actually are able to receive sanctions relief.
Very quickly, 30 seconds, what would a grand bargain look like? What would be included besides the nuclear issue?
Well, the Trump administration clearly isn't satisfied with just the nuclear deal that the Trump administration did. It needs a better nuclear deal without the sunset clauses, which allow after 15 or 10 to 20 years, the Iranians can go back to enriching uranium scot-free. The other thing is they want to be able to put a cap on Iranian missile technology and development of that, and then Iran support for proxies in the region. Now, there's going to be a lot of give and take, so it's really hard to tell, what a grand bargain looks like right now.
Sure.
I think we need to wait more and see how these tensions subside or not.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Kamran Bokhari, thank you for coming on the show.